Welcome everyone to the penultimate round of the US Chess Cup 2025. A very important round featuring Arjun Erigaisi, who is just half a point behind the leaders. He starts the clock for his opponent. His opponent is none other than his very good friend Praggnanandhaa. Prag started the tournament beautifully, but after two losses has lost the chance to perhaps fight for the first spot. But who knows, if he manages to win here and the last round, he might spoil someone else's tournament, especially Arjun here, who is just half a point behind Nodirbek. Prag adjusts all his pieces. The World Cup matchup between Prag and Arjun in 2023 was absolutely epic. It went right down to the wire, with then Prag winning, and both the players have exchanged blows against each other. They are so good friends of each other off the board, but on the board always fighting. Prag opens the game with 1c4, presses the clock. He has 129.41 on his clock, and Arjun, let's see what he plays. For me, it's always exciting to watch Arjun's opening choice, because he's that one player who comes up with new ideas. And just as I say, g6 played by Ajubai. Pawn to g6, wants to get his bishop on this long diagonal here. Presses the clock. Prag goes pawn to e4. And he's saying to Arjun, if you are not going to do anything, I'm going to go d4 with King's Indian defense. But e5, Arjun very quickly grabs space in the center. The knight comes out to f3, attacking the pawn here. The knight comes out to c6. And now very important to strike in the center with d4. Arjun chops off the pawn. E takes d4. Knight takes the pawn on d4. And now bishop g7, attacking the knight. And the knight comes back to e2. This is Prag's opening prep. I mean, you would imagine to go bishop e3, but then there are some sharp lines with queen f6. So Prag goes back knight e2, and Arjun starts to think a bit. Only a bit, because he might be prepared here as well. Pawn to d6 opens up the bishop. Now the knight comes out to c3. And a very normal way to continue is to go knight f6. But there's also another way to put the knight on e7 and then strike with f5. Oh, he goes directly f5. That's Arjun for you. Going really straight in the center. We have the cameraman blocking our view, but I hope not for long. E takes f5, taken there. Bishop takes on f5. And the bishop now looks at a good diagonal. Prag goes knight to g3, questioning the bishop here on f5. Arjun preserves his bishop. Now generally such structures are a little bit dangerous strategically for black, because has only two pawns in front of the king, and Prag has a very safe king here, could also put his knight in the center. So white's position looks strategically superior, but if you look at the development, black has finished the development of all the pieces. When he castles, his rook would be on the open file. So there are a lot of dynamic factors in black's favor. White castles here. And Arjun, by the way, took a lot of time for the couple of previous moves, and now castles. He has 1 hour 11 minutes while Prag has 1 hour 30 minutes. And I mean, Prag would love to put his bishop on b2, but it's not so easy to achieve that. So he goes bishop g5, pinning the knight here, and maybe just provoking h6, which is something that Prag would like, to soften up the black king side. And Arjun does play h6. The bishop can simply drop back now. Of course, you don't want to be taking here. That would be giving up your bishop just too cheaply there as white. So coming back to e3. And I like how white's pieces are all positioned. Queen d2 next, attacking here. But yeah, d5 played by Arjun. Not the best move. And look at Pragg there. You can always sense whether a move is something that Pragg predicted or not on the basis of his reaction. Of course, Queen D7 would have been much better here. Pragg takes on D5. And Arjun is like, hey Pragg, if take, I'm just completely equal. So he takes here. It seems like he missed Pragg's next move here, and Pragg has a very strong move in this position. Oh my god, Pragg opens the bottle of water here and goes bishop to c4. Fantastic move. Fantastic move. You can't take on c3 or e3 because of bishop takes e6, and going back knight e7 is met with bishop c5 with another pin. So it takes on c3. Not a happy move to make for Arjun Erigaisi. But he's like, okay, at least I can get rid of one of the pieces that attacks my knight on d5. So now b takes c3 and now king h7 with the big threat of knight takes bishop and then picking up this bishop on c4. Pragg goes bishop to c5, saving his bishop, attacking the rook. Rook e8, rook f6. These are the natural normal moves that can be played, but Arjun goes rook f4. What an active move on the 4th rank. He attacks the bishop on c4. Black's pieces look quite active, but also are a bit weak for sure. And Pragg now brings his bishop back to b3. I'm pretty sure that Pragg loves his position right now. The two bishops here. b6 played, attacking the bishop. You have some options like rook e1, attacking the bishop on the other side of the board, which is an amazing move. Queen e1 perhaps to attack the bishop like this. And Pragg goes back bishop a3. I like this move as well, because now with say c4, bishop b2, he just puts the bishop on this huge long diagonal. Knight a5 played by Arjun. Pragg pushes his pawn to c4, a very surprising move, because the pawn is hanging, knight takes c4, but after queen e2, you attack here and here, which is super dangerous. Arjun goes back to f6 pretty quickly. He's maybe just moving a bit too fast, and he's letting Pragg get a big chunk of an advantage here. Queen c1, what an epic move by Pragg, attacking the rook on f4. Arjubai now in trouble. He plays rook to h4. The rook here looks active but is not doing much. Pragg gets his other rook in, attacking the bishop. And now queen g8 played, because if you took bishop c4 here, rook e7 is a big problem. So queen g8 trying to hang on to the bishop here and putting more pressure on c4, but queen c3 attacking the knight. So many problems now. Queen f7, he defends the knight here on f6, and Pragg, who has 13 minutes on the clock, goes boom! Rook takes e6, sacrificing the rook, and queen takes e6. What's his idea here? Rook e1, attacking the queen. How can the queen keep in touch with the knight? If you go back, rook e7 loses the queen. Queen c6 is met with this deflecting move, bishop a4. So he goes knight e4 as the only move perhaps to try and keep this position together. But Pragg simply comes back and he's like, hey, Arjun, the knight is pinned on the e-file. Arjun tries his best. He brings his rook, defends his knight. But isn't this knight completely pinned? Can I simply not go f3? This is game over. Pawn to f3 played. Fantastic move here by Praggnanandhaa. He's pushed his pawn to f3. Queen e5 played. And now you can take here on e4 with the pawn. It looks great. But I believe Pragg doesn't really fear ghosts. He just takes on e4 and he tells Arjun, take this pawn if you like. I have my king coming to f2. There are no more checks. My knight is coming into f6. My bishop can drop back. My queen can move up. There are too many issues that you have to face. Queen to h2. Arjun takes it on h2 and Pragg comes back. Moves his king to f2. Presses the clock. And this is completely lost now. Bishop b2 is a very powerful move. You have two pieces for a rook. Arjun hardly has any compensation here, and Praggnanandhaa has completely outplayed his opponent. Arjun stops the clock, resigns the game, handshake, and victory for Praggnanandhaa, who's made a comeback after his two losses. A very important game for Arjun here. He loses, and with that, his chances of winning this tournament have reduced because Nodirbek now has 1 point lead over him. Prag and Arjun both now have 4.5 points. Tomorrow, the last round will be an exciting day, but we'll see what happens there. For now, Praggnanandhaa can be very happy with his gameplay in this one.
Hi everyone, we have Grandmaster R. Praggnanandhaa with us. Prag just defeated Arjun in the penultimate round. Prag, can you tell us about the game?
Yeah, I think the game was mainly about, I think, 1 point where he went d5, which I just think it's just bad. Like, he should just play normally, like queen d7, or I mean, there are just many normal moves. Like king h7 is just a normal move. And I think white is maybe slightly better, but not. I mean, it's just a fight after that. But d5, I just get this, like we get this forced line, and maybe instead of rook f4, he could have tried something else. There were like other options like rook e8, rook f6. I was not sure. It felt like black was in danger in all the lines. And after bishop b3, I guess he underestimated bishop b3 because, um, yeah, spaces are just stuck. And I think the important line is if you go queen g5, I have c4, knight c3, queen c1, and somehow just everything hangs for him. And I think I win material there. And yeah, there were like many options in the game. After b6, also there were many options, but I think I found a decent way to win. Like this bishop a3 was important. After that, like knight a5, I mean there were like many tempting options, but I think I managed to like figure out a way that doesn't spoil much.
Couple of days ago, your game against Richard Drapo is touted as one of the game of the years for 2025. Even Gary Kasparov himself tweeted and shared his thoughts about how impressed he was with the game. So we would like to know your perspective because you were playing. Unfortunately, you lost, but if you could share your thoughts about the game.
No, from my part, I think it's just a bad game. I don't think I put up any fight because um, I knew till this piece suck. I think he also knew it because it's not with the way with the speed he played. It felt like he also knew the line till rook a4, because this is like one of the top computer lines. It's not something hidden, so it's possible he also knew it. And this and I mean after that, I think there was just this one moment where I went bishop c4 back. Instead of it, I wanted knight d4. That's why I played bishop b3. But then for some reason, I thought bishop c4. I couldn't find a way to refute it, and even though it didn't feel good because I just went bishop b3 in such a complex position. You shouldn't waste time. But I couldn't see it, and I went for it, and yeah, bishop c2 and bishop a4 was a good find by him, and it's just over after that. I think from his part, it was like a brilliant game. But I don't think I was enjoying that.
Yeah, that's quite obvious. But did you know that Kasparov tweeted about your game?
No,
So after suffering two losses, you drew with Nepomniachtchi and today you won. So how did you manage to regroup yourself?
I mean, to be very honest, I don't think I really regrouped. I think it was important for me to regroup before losing to Richard, but yeah, but I think anytime if you win against such a strong player, you take it. And although today I wouldn't say that it was. I think it was more like my game against Richard for Arjun because yeah, somehow just things went so smooth for me, which shouldn't happen. So maybe he was trying to push today, and because yeah, Nordberg is half a point ahead of him, so he wanted to try and push, but yeah, the position was not good for it.
Thank you very much, Prag, for your valuable time. I wish you all the best for your final round game.
I think.